Hello everyone, welcome to my bullet journal setup for the month of February. I am really happy with how this one turned out, and still I hope that you guys will enjoy. Maybe this will inspire you either for February or for March, because I am posting this a little bit late. Well, not too late, but you know what I mean. So since February is the month of Valentine's Day, I wanted to have a theme that kind of touched on that without being too obvious. So I went with a tea theme where the tea is made out of roses and strawberries. I feel like roses and strawberries are really iconic to Valentine's Day, and so basically putting them into a tea kind of, touched on the subject without being too bam in your face, So yeah, basically I'm just going in with my Tombow and Crayola markers and coloring in the doodles that I had already sketched, because I feel like when I just outline them before I color, then when I go in with the colors, sometimes the colors get muddy with the liner, and doing it this way kind of prevents that issue. So this is my favorite method. So yeah, the quote that I have on the side there says, "When the world is at odds and the mind is at sea, then cease the useless tedium and brew a cup of tea." I found this on Pinterest. There's no author on the quote there because there was no author on the quote on Pinterest either. I feel like it was just something that someone wrote and made it into a post. So I just decided to use it because I've been really into mindfulness lately. I feel like I have this really bad habit of being super spaced out. I'm either trying to do a lot of different things at the same time, or I'm thinking about the future and about things that have already happened. I'm basically just never in the present moment, and I'm trying to fix that. So the concept of just brewing a cup of tea and sitting with it and not thinking about anything else was really appealing to me for this month, and I feel like it all just came together really nicely. As you can see, I keep on going back and forth with the markers. Essentially what I'm doing is just layering the colors so that I can get some more dimension. This just really helps the doodles to be a bit more 3D-like, and essentially it turns some really simple doodles into something that looks a bit more professional. It doesn't look professional, but you know what I mean. It just doesn't look so plain, I guess. Then with the cover page on the side there, I realized that I probably needed something more. It was just looking a bit too bland, so I went in and just sketched out some more strawberries and colored those in and did the same thing that I was doing with the page on the side, essentially. Now we're going in with the monthly log. I don't usually like to make really big boxes for the monthly logs for each day. I just find that I don't really use them. I just need some boxes where I can just write down my shifts, my days off, and maybe like an appointment or just something that I'm doing for the day, just so that I can have a monthly overview and just organize myself. So yeah, just for reference, if you feel like my notebook is looking quite big, that is because this is a B5 notebook. I used to go with A5 ones, but I found that I just need a bit more space, because when I'm finished with all of my spreads, just like the layout, like the boxes and the graphics for the trackers, I always felt like it was already too busy, and then just doodling or adding washi tapes on top of that just made it a bit too crowded for me, and I felt like I needed a bit more blank canvas on there, if that makes sense. So yeah, I switched to B5 this year, and I have to say I'm really loving it. I feel like I just have so much space, which allows me to do so much more and just be a bit more creative with my spreads. So yeah. Besides the monthly log boxes, I have 3 sections in this spread. The first is for goals for the month, second is for highlights of the month, and the third is for reflections after the month has ended. So I feel like what this does for me is it helps me to sort of plan for the month when it is starting. So like a future vision of what I want my month to be. The highlights is as the month is going on, I am capturing the highlights of the present as I am living it, and then the end of the month reflections allow me to look back on the past and just learn from it. So essentially it's like future, present, past, if that makes sense. And I find this to be so freaking useful once the month is done, just to see like what I was hoping for the month when it was starting, and then how I was living it and experiencing it, and then just what it taught me after all of that. I've been doing this for, I think it was like 2 months of doing this so far, and it really is a game changer, especially for me. I don't know if anyone else has this problem, but I am horrible at placing myself in time. Like a year will go by if I don't write down the things that have happened, I have no idea if something happened in March or in May, or if it was in June or August. I generally have no idea. I'm horrible with the whole thing about placing my own life in time. So yeah, this really does help me with that once I go through the bullet journal at the end of the year. This spread that I'm working on, these are for my affirmations and my gratitude. Like I said before, I'm into mindfulness. I'm also into spirituality. I like to write some affirmations and just some things that I'm grateful for. Just again, to be present, to be in the moment, and to be aware of what's going on in my life, what I need to work on, what I have, and just to be thankful for it. I'm sorry for the shift of light. I started to film with natural daylight, but I had to start filming later on the day than I hoped, so I had to switch to artificial lighting. Now, the spread that I'm working on right now is my favorite. It is my meal planner spread. I am really in love with how it turned out. I did this spread for the first time last month, but I didn't actually like how it turned out that month. I felt like it was needing a bit more detailing. So essentially, what I do with this one is, like I did for last month, you guys didn't see that, but I will explain. I did boxes for each day. Each box is split into 3, basically for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Those are the meals that I'm going to be trying to plan for. And then what I'm doing on the side there, you can see there's a bit of a list with boxes with colors to color code. This is going to be a sort of cycle tracker for my menstrual cycle, because there are different foods that are better for each phase of your cycle. Basically, a cycle is built out of 4 phases. So it's menstrual phase, follicular phase, ovulatory phase, and luteal phase. And there are foods that can really just help your body be at its best when you're going through each phase. And so essentially what I'm writing down there is, at the calendar, I did my period math and I figured out essentially when I'm going to be going through each phase. And then I wrote down the foods that are good for that specific phase so that I can plan my meals according to that. So basically just try to plan my meals the best way that I can for my health and for my cycle, because essentially these foods are just going to be supporting the hormones that are going through my body at the moment. It'll just kind of help my body go with the flow of what is already happening, if that makes sense. I started my meal planner last month with the intention of doing this, but then since I didn't have this info on my bullet journal, essentially of the foods and the phases, I ended up not doing that because I did not have the patience to go and look it up every time that I was trying to plan my meals. So I feel like this is going to help me so much, and it does look so cute. And so yeah, as you can see, the boxes are split into 3 sections, essentially just breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I had them signed down like on each box for last month, but that just took up so much more space, and I don't need it to be signaled. I know essentially what each box is going to stand for, so I just did it like this. Next, we're gonna go into my sleep tracker and my mood tracker. I really like to have them side by side because I find that usually I end up giving myself my own mood by either not sleeping enough, or by going to bed too late, or by, just allowing my body to rest as much as it needs to. I'm usually the own culprit for my own mood. So yeah, as you can see, the sleep tracker is on the left, or you probably can't because it's not outlined yet and it's just in pencil and it's a bit light. But yeah, the sleep tracker is on the left and the mood tracker is on the right. I'm just going in with some more tea time doodles. This one, I actually wrote in tea time. I just had some space and I didn't want to completely fill it in with just doodles, and I felt like tea time looked really cute. Now, I track my sleep in essentially 3 different aspects. I track how many hours I slept, I track my hour of going to bed and the hour that I wake up, and I track the quality of my sleep by color coding the line that fills in the time when I went to sleep and when I woke up. So essentially, for example, if on the 1st I go to bed at 1 a.m. and I wake up at 9 and my sleep was good, I will make a line from 1 to 9 with a light pink, and that will tell me everything that I need to know when I look at it later on. I hope this makes sense. And then I have a statistics area to essentially track down what I did with my own sleep throughout the month. With the mood tracker, I have the same system of having a key with codes and the moods that I'm hoping to sort of classify my mood into. And as you can see, I have a little section for the mood on the left and a line of the day at the right. So essentially, I just go in and I mark down what my mood for the day was, and then I'll write down a line or so to sort of describe why my mood was the way that it was. And as you can see, I have little symbols on the left of the numbers on both trackers. Those are the phases of the moon, because I find that sometimes the moon does affect my sleep and my mood. So yeah, I'm going to be doing the same thing for this spread, which is the habit tracker. I kind of came upon the habit of making my habits, like my habit tracker, really long. Essentially, I track down a bunch of things because essentially I have an idea of what my ideal day and my sort of ideal habit routine should be like. And so what I do with my habit tracker, I just don't track down a specific habit or so. I track down the habits that I feel like I should have on a daily basis to achieve the life that I want for myself. I hope that makes sense. So I'm just, again, going in with the doodles, same system as before, coloring them in before I fine line them, and just going in a few times to just give them a bit more dimension. Okay, so on the left here, this might be a bit random to have on my habit tracker, but essentially I just wanted to track this and I didn't really have another spread where I could put this into, so I just took advantage of the space that I had on here. So essentially just a bit of a dream log, just to track down how many nights I remembered my dream or not, because I have a separate bullet journal, well, not a bullet journal, just a journal where I will write down some lines about how my day went. I will do some journaling prompts. I will write down the dreams that I remember, but I don't really have like a clean just graphic where I can see, okay, so out of the month I remembered like my dream on this day and that day. I don't have a clean way of having an overview for the month for how many times I remember my dream. I don't remember my dreams very often, but when I do, they usually have some meaning to them or some messages. So I kind of like to have an idea of how many times I remembered my dream. So that's why that's there. It's on the habit tracker page just for convenience. And you know what? It is okay to do that with your bullet journal if you want to make a small section to track a very specific thing, but it's not big enough to justify an entire spread. Just find some space with your spreads. Just like, if it doesn't make sense by theme, just put it somewhere where it fits and make it look appealing, I guess. So yeah, my face is doing a bit of a cameo there. This tracker, I love how it looks. It's very clean, but I have to say it is a bit annoying having to draw so many lines. It is a bit tedious and it does take a bit of time, but it looks so cute and so clean at the end of it, and it's honestly just worth it. As you can see, the moon phases are back for the habit tracker. They are on the top there because, again, the moon does affect us so much. Like, if you think about it, the moon affects water and humans are 70% water. So it's normal that the moon will affect us. And I find that on like full moon and new moon, I'm usually super motivated and I go through my habits like a champion, and then on other phases I'm a bit meh about it. So I wanted to track down which phases make me more productive and which ones don't. I am putting in the moon again with the dream log because Usually I remember my dreams a lot around new moon and full moon as well, and then for the rest of the month I don't remember them. So yeah, that's what is going on there. As you can see, like, my habits are a list of things that I want to do throughout the day, and usually they're in like order. So I start with waking up, and by the end it's like time of going to bed. I have the time for when I wanted to have my lunch. I have the time for when I want to have my dinner, just so that I have a firmer routine. So essentially these habits are just to be aware of what I'm doing with myself, whatever I'm doing with my time, if I really am taking the action towards having the life that I want to have and being the person that I want to be, because your routine really, really, really makes up who you are at the end of the day. Now we are going in with the expense tracker and brain dump. I usually love having a brain dump page. When I don't have it, I really feel that I need it back. Like, on the few occasions when I haven't had a brain dump page, I really missed it. I would randomly have an idea that I wanted to write down, or a doodle that I wanted to write down for an idea for something else, and I just really love having a page that is blank and that has no expectations on it, and I can just do whatever the heck I want with it. It's just so freeing to have a brain dump page. I really recommend it. For my expense tracker, I'm making it really simple. I'm just having two similar charts. They're exactly the same, it's just so that I don't have one really long one. This just helps me to track more things. Essentially, it's just for each expense, I just track down how much I spent on what and the day. So that's it. And then at the bottom, I have total amount spent, where I can just write down how much I spent in the month, how much I saved up. Then I'm just going in with a gel white pen to fix up some mistakes, because I did go a bit ham with the bright pink Crayola marker. Now we are finally going into the first weekly log. I struggle with finding a weekly log format that works for me. I have tried some different methods, and I came back to this one, and it's the one that's working for me the most. Essentially what I do is I just use this as to-do lists for each day, because like I said, I have a different journal for just writing down what happened throughout my day, so I don't feel the need to register a lot of what happened here. I just feel the need to have a place where I can plan for my week. So this is what the weekly log does for me. I do not mix days from different months in the same week. So for example, this week it would start on the Monday on the 31st of January. I prefer to have like the first month of February only starting with February. So in this case, this is starting on a Tuesday. I hope that makes sense, because the 31st, I had that with the month of January. And so this week we'll only have 6 days here, but you can get the idea. Essentially, where that little list that I will mention in a little bit is, I would just have the 7th day, essentially. I usually like to have a calendar on the weekly log to just have an idea of where I am in the month. I don't know, it just helps my brain work better. This month, I'm trying to have a weather prediction section on the weekly log, just because, especially since it's winter here, sometimes I want to go on walks, or sometimes I want to go out to do something, and I plan that really poorly because I have no idea what the weather is going to be like. The weather is really fickle here, so having a prediction there kind of helps me to plan that out. I love what I did with this space, because like I said, I don't mix the days if they are from a different month. So I had some space there, because this layout is usually built for 7 days. So with the the space from the 7th day, I decided to improvise, and I made this. You can see it's named Side Quest. You know how like video games will have side quests where you have the main mission and then you go on side journeys to fulfill separate tasks, and it's just like a bonus point. So I decided to have a side quest for the first week of February, month of love, self-love, self-care. Just take care of myself and just write down some things that I want to do that I consider to be self-care, like decluttering a drawer, going on a walk, baking a cake, doing face masks, like just take care of myself a bit more during this week. And I found this idea to be so cute. And then on the bottom there, I have a section for impactful quotes. I just like to have a space to write those down, and a section for reflections of the week. Now let's go in with the flip through for this month. Again, I am so happy with how this turned out. It's looking so cute. So me, honestly, like the doodles really match my style, I guess. It's looking really clean. It has space. You get what I say when I mention the B5? Like, I have really big spreads and I have some doodles, but there's still blank space on the page. Like, it doesn't look too much most of the time. Well, the habit tracker, I kind of went a bit ham, but it looks busy but clean at the same time, which is what I really love about this. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. Like and subscribe if you did. Thank you.